We are outside of Zihuatanejo, about 30-45 minutes on the main highway going south. There's a little village there that's just out in the middle of the boonies. This is the museum that they have built just since 2013 commemorating this particular site. We're going to go inside and take a look, but the site itself is very interesting. Found a 3,000-year-old archeological site that's currently being excavated. It's called Xihuacan. That's Xihuacan. And it means a place of the people who control eternity. One of the oldest ball courts found in Mesoamerica is located in this particular location. It is a cross-cultural ceremonial center that they feel was worshipped by many pre-Columbian tribes, including the Cualtecas, the Tarascans, the Mixtecas, the Aztecs, the Zapotecs, Totonacas, even as far back as the Toltecs and Olmecs. They have even found evidence that the Mayans once gathered here far from their lands down further east and south of this site. So it costs about 20 pesos per person to get into this site. That's the window where you pay. There's usually a guy sitting right there. Then just down from that, if you look in these windows, there's pieces of pottery and other objects that they have found at the site. You can't really see it because of the reflection in the window, but it's on a table and shelves back there, different flint blades and things like that they have found. Going back to the entrance, we did pay. We do have a guide that's going to take us through. That's him right there. And he's going to tell us a little bit about all of the different objects that are in the museum site. This is one of the stelas, the first stela actually, that has the insignia of the city, which helped them identify the city. Xihuacan is believed to have stretched over an 8-square-mile area. Only a small section has been excavated since work began just a few years ago. Some of the major structures that have been excavated and restored includes a 45-foot high pyramid that's about 100 yards long on each of its 4 sides. Another major discovery here is the 180-foot long ball court. It's the second largest ball court in Mexico, only after the ball court at Chichen Itza in the Yucatan Peninsula. The of the city here, which is ¿Cómo se dice eso? Huacan? Xihuacan. Xihuacan.
Es un vocablo de la cultura azteca.
Azteca.
Sí, porque los aztecas eran un pueblo.
See. And then this is from the ball court. The literal translation of the symbol is the land where people possess time and years. And the god that protected this town was the god with no flesh, and they would take his flesh each year for sacrifice, and the priest would wear it for 21 days, and at the end of 21 days they would get more fish, or the women would have more babies and that kind of thing. Those are stamps for the slaves. Each owner would have their own stamp and insignia, and each slave would be marked. These are sacrificial blades here. One of the interesting legends here at Xihuacan is that there was a man that was cross-eyed, and anyone that had that type of malady was considered a shaman or a holy person. And he foresaw a tsunami that would wipe out the entire city. And the hill that's just south of the main complex, those that believed him fled to that hilltop and were saved by a tsunami that killed everyone else in the city. We left the museum and drove down the road just a little ways, a few hundred yards, to where the actual ball court is. This is the site of the ball court. It's been partially fenced off, but you can see there the length is really what makes it the second largest at 180 feet long. It's not the widest or the second widest, but it is the second longest ball court in Mexico. Based on the archaeological dating, this would have just been another anonymous archaeological site, but they found the city symbol in the middle of the ball court right over there, and they were able to identify it and then know what city it was. And as you can see, if you look closely on the ground here, you can see pieces of pottery everywhere from the old Aztec and Mayan, or the Aztec cultures. This is all pottery in here. Amazing. It's everywhere. If you look on any of the dirt that's been uncovered in the grass. So, what? So I'll open it. If you look over here, this is where the balance of the center of the community was. The government palace was over here. We're going to look at a couple of the pyramids. But if you look closely, you can see elevated pads all around this ball court, which were probably ceremonial sites or dwelling sites in this ancient community that at one time had over 16 major pyramids and was probably much larger than the existing community, which is only about 500 people. This is where the government palace structure is right here. It's just it hasn't been uncovered. They haven't excavated it. That's part of it. Yeah. This is the hill that the people ran to that survived the tsunami. It was up there. And even today it's considered a very sacred site because it saved so many lives. But keep in mind, as you look around, this area would have been covered with over 16 pyramids, not to mention all of the dwelling sites and all of the habitations and the little farms that would have been here as well. So probably a much larger community than what's here now. They said that the rain has done some damage to the pyramid, so they won't let us go and look at the pyramid, but you can see it down there at the end of the road. The person who owns this land is trying to get the government to pay an area that's open where you can see the pyramid. So these are some of the images of those items that are in the museum. There's over 800 different items that have been excavated from the site that are included, from axe blades, ceremonial knife blades, even needles, as I showed earlier, slave stamps where the owners of the slaves would stamp them with their ownership. These are the ojos de Dios, where the shaman supposedly was able to use these in determining the date and time of the tsunami that killed all of or buried the village and killed all of those that didn't follow him to the mountaintop. After we left the museum and the archaeological sites, our guide took us to his village, which was just down this road about a mile. Francisco, our guide, actually took us to his home and showed us his farm that's been in his family for hundreds of years, where they grow tobacco and have for that entire period of time, including an old church that's been there for 300 years.